What's going on, everyone? The Miami Heat's historic run officially came to an end last night when they lost to the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals. Miami went on just an insane run, beating the Milwaukee Bucks, the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, and then ended up playing the Denver Nuggets, which just kind of felt like it was their year all year. But Miami needs help. They were able to make it to the NBA Finals once again for the first time since the bubble year in 2020 and look like a team that is right there. I mean, every year Miami is in the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals the last handful of years, and it's just been remarkable to see what they've been able to do with what many believe is just not a adequate roster, right? You got Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and then you got a bunch of undrafted, just undersized guys that are real question marks, and it's like, how does Miami keep going on this run? Miami really needs another star, and it's something that I've talked about and stressed on this channel during the run for Miami, right? They need another guy outside of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo who can just go get a bucket, close out games down the stretch, be a consistent night in and night out player, because that's the problem. They had guys like Martin stepped up huge and was phenomenal, but he's not supposed to be your third best guy. And for a majority of the playoffs, he was their most consistent guy. And then he finally came back to earth, and it was like, oh, well, here we go. Miami's in trouble. And it kind of felt that way with everybody. It was like everyone just kind of really overachieved during the course of the playoffs. And then they got in the NBA Finals and reality set in, and it was like, okay, well, they are a bunch of, unreliable role players. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're not supposed to be the guy. Your role players aren't supposed to be the guys night in and night out that are delivering win after win. If that was the case, then you wouldn't need to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for star players, because you could just have a team full of role players and win NBA championships, right? Teams don't win without the stars. You need some level of stars, unless you just have an insane team, like the Detroit Pistons. But even then, guys like Chauncey Billups, the Wallaces, Rip Hamilton, all of those guys were still very good. And so you look at just Miami's makeup in the roster, and you're like, man, they really could use somebody else. And based on reports that have came out, which kind of interesting, these came out after the NBA Finals, but that's usually how it goes, that the Miami Heat tried to make a offer for Kyrie Irving. Based on the rumors, Heat made offer to the Nets at the 2023 NBA trade deadline and tried to acquire Kyrie Irving. Kyrie ultimately went to the Dallas Mavericks, as we know, and didn't really have success at all with Dallas. That wasn't his fault. They basically traded away all of their defense, all of their depth to go and get Kyrie Irving. And it'll be interesting to see what Kyrie decides to do. Does he end up staying with the Dallas Mavericks? Because if he does, then Dallas can kind of retool around Kyrie and Luka and maybe get this roster right. But Kyrie was very good on the Dallas Mavericks. They were actually better with Kyrie on the court without Luka than with Luka on the court without Kyrie. Again, not Kyrie's fault. And him on the Miami Heat would have been very interesting, right? Because do they have the same sort of effect that Dallas had, or does he come in and fit in seamlessly? There's always questions about Kyrie, right? And especially with the Miami Heat, how would Kyrie Irving kind of fit the Miami Heat culture and the way that they kind of operate and are as a team? Would Kyrie be able to come in and kind of fill that and be a part of that? He did in a lot of ways for the Dallas Mavericks. He, when Luka was on the court, was willing to kind of take a step back and let Luka run the show. Down the stretch of games, Luka was the guy that was usually closing, although I think Kyrie probably would have been the better option. But still, Kyrie came in, kept his head down, did what he had to do. He very well could have done the same thing with the Miami Heat. And, I mean, it's still an option on the table. Miami could maybe go look to acquire Kyrie Irving in some capacity of sign and trade, something like that. You'd have to package Tyler Hero and some assets to go and get Kyrie Irving, but it's definitely an interesting scenario. If you basically upgraded Tyler Hero and, say, Kyle Lowry and some picks for Kyrie Irving just to make salaries match. I'm just throwing something out there, but it'd be a package center around Tyler Hero very likely. If you did something like that and you brought in Kyrie, Miami, the NBA Finals could be a completely different story. Because that was the thing. Again, Bam Adebayo had a great series against the Denver Nuggets, but it's kind of because Denver was like, all right, we'll let Bam Adebayo just go drop 20 a game plus, right? But he's not really that guy on a nightly basis, right? Bam Adebayo's a kind of undersized, do-everything type center. He's very talented, very skilled, very gifted, but he's not a Joel Embiid, even Anthony Davis to an extent. He's not that guy that I think you can heavily rely on and win an NBA championship with him as your second option. He's better suited as your third option. And Jimmy Butler is absolutely incredible, but he's not a naturally gifted scorer, right? He's not Kyrie can just go get a bucket, right? He can score at all three levels. He can hit the three, he can hit the mid-range, he can get to the basket, he could cross you up, he could generate offense, right? There's just Kyrie is a much more natural, gifted scorer than Jimmy Butler is. Jimmy Butler is a guy that just through determination, will, and strength is able to just kind of get to his spots, put his head down, and just go generate buckets. But you saw Jimmy Butler's struggles at times. You saw Bam Adebayo's struggles at times. And I'm not saying that Kyrie wouldn't struggle at times. Guys just have bad games, bad moments, whatever. But Kyrie would immediately be the best scorer on Miami by far. And so if you could go and get a guy like Kyrie who could just go get buckets, it's one of the reasons Damian Lillard makes a lot of sense for Miami. A guy that could just go get a bucket. He can give you 25 to 30 every single night. And on top of that, then you can have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo do the dirty work, which they are great at. That's something you cannot take away from Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. Even when they're not performing and having bad offensive nights, they are getting after it on defense. They are making all the hustle plays. They're both sacrificing their bodies. They're both diving for balls. They do the dirty work. You don't see very many stars or your best players on a roster doing that level of dirty work. You just don't, right? But you have two guys that are the voice and leaders of that team that do and are willing to do the dirty work. So if you can get a guy in Kyrie Irving who's really good at everything that Miami kind of isn't, and I think that you would have some huge success. Again, it's kind of a lot of the same things that I said about Damian Lillard. When you hear the reports of Damian Lillard, he himself said he would be interested in going to Miami, that would be a destination via trade. So, if they could get a Damian Lillard, a Kyrie Irving, I really do believe that they could be right back in the NBA Finals. I do believe that they could absolutely win an NBA championship because then everybody kind of goes back to their spots. You get a guy like Kyrie who you're just bringing Kyrie, and you just tell Kyrie, dude, go get 30 a night. Don't worry about anything else, right? Just go. We just need you to score. Go get 30 a night. Give me 30 on a nightly basis. And you can just let Kyrie go be Kyrie, right? There's not many teams that can allow that, right? Even Dallas. Dallas needs Kyrie, yes, to go score, but they need him to kind of be a playmaker, get other guys involved, kind of play second fiddle next to Luka, right? But if you're the Miami Heat, you're looking at a guy like Kyrie and going, everything that you are brilliant at is what we need badly. Just go do that. Don't worry about anything else. Don't just let guys run past, try to play some defense, but we got you on the defensive end. We got you on the dirty work. We just want you to go and just go get buckets. And then that allows Jimmy Butler to kind of be the second guy and allows him to do all the dirty work, kind of be that Swiss Army knife type player that's getting rebounds, assists, go get you 15 to 20 a night, and then Bam Adebayo doing the same thing. Now Bam is the third option. He can go kind of be that Swiss Army knife, giving you assists, rebounds, giving you 15 to 20 points. Now all of a sudden you have, 60 to 70 points between the three of those guys, which is basically what they averaged in the playoffs. And they averaged 80, 90 points. So you basically got the majority of your points on just those three guys. And now all the role guys, they're not asked to do as much. So if you do keep a Cody Martin, right? Like, he's a guy that he doesn't have to go get you 20 to 25 a game for you to win. He can just go get you 10 and you're going to win. Same thing with Strus. He could just go get you 10 and you're going to win. Or 8 and you're going to win. Right? Like, that's where I think a guy like Kyrie or Damian Lillard would just be beautiful. Because they get to be what they are best at. And all the other guys on Miami get to do what they are best at, and they don't have to worry about handling that scoring load. So, I don't know. I like the idea of Kyrie. If they can go and still land Kyrie Irving, I like it for Miami. I think Miami makes a lot of sense. It would be kind of interesting. It'd kind of be tough to get there, but, you never know. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? How do you feel? Love to hear it.